Yeah. Yes, we are live. Yes, we are live on Let's Think Podcast. I'm your host, Brother Seven Islam Male, and we're live on Let's Think Podcast. I'd like to rise, giving all thanks and perfect praises unto Allah, highest honors to His holy prophet, honors to the forerunner Marcus Mosiah Garvey, honors to the Moore Science Temple of America, honors to my leadership, Brother L. Portisel and Sister M. Portisel, honors to their staff and administration, honors to all, and I mean all, participate in the comprehensive program of uplifting fallen humanity. And I'd like to give honors to our guests, my brother, your brother, Noble Anpu.
Peace,
Yes,
peace,
sir.
peace, beloved Islam. What's happening?
Man, you already know how we do it, brother, man. You know, just, hey, man, just enjoying another beautiful experience here on this this ball of mud, you know?
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. No
Yes,
doubt.
sir, yes, sir. But give it all thanks and perfect praises unto Allah always, you know, for the experience.
Yeah.
How's yourself, brother? How's the family? How's everyone?
Man, everyone is well, man. Thanks for asking, man. How about your family and everybody?
Oh man, they be in my family, Mo. And as long as they doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, sir. The chat. Yes, as you come in, please hit that like button. Hit that like button. Also, if you have questions throughout the presentation, you can super chat your questions and I'll answer your questions as they come up. And we'll deal with it that way. We have the channel's Cash App pinned in the comment section. Please support via Cash App. Super thanks, super sticker, super chat. We appreciate all your donations. We appreciate all your support because, hey, that helps us keep coming back to give y'all this content. Yes. So, Brother Noble Anpu, we have Desiree in the building. Peace. We have Moore's uplifting humanity. Peace.
Peace. Yeah.
We have them in the building. Please share this to your social media. For all of you, please share it to your social media because I'm actually working off my phone, so I can't do that at this moment. But if you can, please help and assist the channel, push us into the algorithm, you know, share to keep your people aware. And we have one of them ones tonight. This is a topic that my brother deals with so elegantly and so gracefully. And make sure y'all go over to Noble Anpu's page. Make sure you go over there, subscribe to Brother Noble Anpu on YouTube. Check out his videos. He has a playlist, a plethora of information. Very, very, very powerful information. So make sure you go over there to Noble Anpu. As you see the name in the in the description and the title of this video, Noble Anpu. Please go tap in with the brother. Subscribe, run them up. Yes, if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. And we are about to get it started. Moore's uplifting humanity. Islam, Muslims, gratitude, peace and love to you both. Peace and love to you. Now BWX Islam. So without further ado, I'm not going to hold my brother up any longer. We have this topic. So what are we dealing with today, Brother Noble Anpu?
Yeah, man. Saudi and Morocco 100% was inspired. I dealt with Saudi before a couple months ago. but definitely inspired by my brother Rashad on YouTube. And I didn't know that. I thought I had the video file to actually play the clip of what he said. But brother Abdul Rashad um, had mentioned that when he went over to Morocco, um, first of all, Abdul Rashad comes from Iman Worth Deen community of Al Islam, which is the son of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And at the death of the honorable Elijah Muhammad, his son Iman Worth Deen, which means inheritor, and Worth means inheritor. He literally inherited the Nation of Islam, and then he took the Nation of Islam towards what we would call more Orthodox Islam, and was probably known as the largest shahada for Black African American Muslims. And over here, please, when I say Black and African American, please just let me ride. I'm talking to the audience who don't know about nationality and things like that. Okay, so I'm not saying that of that. So just give me a pass, because I think it's important for us to still be able to speak the language of the people, because you got some newbies that catch this information that they need to hear that and know that part as well.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yes, sir.
and so Brother Rashad has spoke that his community went over to Morocco and met with like the Ministry of Education. They were telling him how they know that Islam is going to rise in the West, um,
Mm,
and particularly amongst African Americans. And he also said that they let it be known that they're pretty much trying to establish the relationship with Black America in race against the Saudis. And I said,
mm,
"Oh, really? Huh. Okay." So I already dealt with the Saudis before and whatnot. And I said, "Okay, let me go ahead and tie this Morocco piece into it, since Morocco wants that, wants to be a part of guiding Black American Islam." You know what I
mm.
mean? And
Yes,
to
sir.
Rashad's credit, which I agree with, that us in America need to keep our own unique identity. And it's interesting because the way Islam spread across in the East, Islam didn't spread like that for us in America. Didn't no outsider come and give us Islam. We got Prophet Noble Drew Ali, who went to go get it, and we got the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who got it from Master Fard Muhammad. He got it. You know what I mean? And whether they got it from Noble Drew Ali, which some people say, you know what I mean, still got a different aspect that was different from the Moorish Science Temple. But you still got Islam from an organic way from within, and nobody as an outsider, an Arab, an outsider, any outsider that's coming from a different nationality, a different culture, that is bringing this to you. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
it's imperative that we hold on to our roots and hold on to our own identity, and don't get assimilated inside of the Saudi, the Wahhabis, and the various different sects and whatnot. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
As as the Quran states that, that Allah would raise a messenger from amongst every nation speaking their language, that they would know to shun the devil and praise Allah.
Man,
So
thank you.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. But yeah, so tonight, yeah, we'll get into that conversation. You know what I
Yes,
mean? And just let
sir.
me know. Yeah, I got a PowerPoint loaded up. Just let me know when you're ready.
Man, go ahead, brother, man. We ready. I'm pretty sure the audience is ready. Let's get it in.
Okay. So I think maybe you got to hit add to the screen or something, because I don't
Yes, sir.
yeah.
Hold on. Is it do we see it?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
here
you got one more option where it blows it up bigger, because man, my eyes getting bad.
okay. Let me
Let's
see.
see.
Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I'm on this phone, so Bear with me for us. Oh. Let's do it. Let's see. Is that bigger?
No, I still got me and you on the side.
Oh, hold on. Let me do this. Let me see if I can let's see if we can do this. Video. Let's go. Let's see if we can do it this way, brother. My fault. I'm trying to change the settings so we can see it. Oh.
You know what? Hold on. Let me see. You know what? You good.
I'm good?
I made mine full screen, so it's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I made it full screen. It's all good. Okay. Yeah, I figured I can do that. All right. Let me see here. So, boom. All right. So I had done a presentation before dealing with the Sunni and the Salafi, and I asked the question: were they enemies of Islam? Because we will find out if we go through the Islamic history rabbit hole in a sense. You do have a side that of Muslims who absolutely 100% killed the family members of the prophet immediately upon his death. I mean, immediately upon his death, there has been problems with a certain group of people who were portraying themselves as Muslims, and we need to know the origin point of these people. So when we deal with this concept called the Salafi or Wahhabi, it reads, this is a group that most people mean today, dealing with the Salafi. In the mid 20th century, the followers of Muhammad ibn al-Wahhab began to prefer the term Salafi. So the term Salafi is taken form from this gentleman here. Okay. Now, Wahhabism generally prioritize a strict literal interpretation of the Quran and Sunnah over the use of human reason, rationalism, and philosophical interpretation. Okay. It rejects independent reasoning, as you will see, and it rejects philosophy. Okay. So it don't want you to use reason. Now I got a problem with that because in the Quran, when we go to Surah 2, verse 73, it says, so we said, strike him. Thus does Allah bring the dead to life, and he shows you his signs that you may what? Reason. Look in the blue. Mean use your intellect. Okay. Use your intellect. So in the Prophet, his speech, his farewell speech, he said, oh, people, no prophet or apostle will come after me, and no new faith will be born. Reason well. So the Quran tells you tell us to use our reason. The Prophet said, use your reason. So this thing of Wahhabism, I don't know why they don't want you to use your reason, but it don't make sense. And another verse in the Quran, 67:10, says, and they will say, only if we had been listening or reasoning, we would not be among the companions of the blaze. So from the Quran standpoint, this group of people wish they used their reason so they would not be in the hellfire in a sense, right? And so using your reason is a very beyond important thing. It's a mandatory thing that we must do as a believer. There is a difference between a believer and a Muslim. That's clear in the Quran. Okay. All right. So this is what I call the pack of diarrhea because it was a bunch of boo-boo that happened. In 1744, an alliance began with Muhammad ibn al-Wahhab, a preacher seeking to purify Islam from what he saw as innovations and idolatry, was expelled from his hometown when he sought refuge in, again, I'm going to call it diarrhea, and you'll see why in a minute, that was ruled by Muhammad ibn Saud. Muhammad ibn Saud is where the Saudi Arabia comes from because it's the Saud family who I'm going to show you who had fought and persecuted the Prophet's family member and tribe in order to gain control of the Hijaz and call it Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia comes from this place right here, or this person right here. So the agreement, the two men struck a famous bargain. Ibn Saud would provide military might and political protection, while Ab al-Wahhab would provide the religious legitimacy for Ibn Saud's expansion. The goal to unite the Arabian Peninsula under a strict interpretation of Tawhid, the oneness of God. And the legacy says that the pact created the first Saudi state. And to this day, the descendants of al-Wahhab is controlling the religious institution, and the Saudi family is controlling the political institution to this day. Okay.
Every day.
Now,
To this very day.
when we look at this right here and we go to the sack of Karbala in 1802, it tells you that this is the most significant and traumatic event in history. In 1802, the forces of the first Saudi state marched into Iraq and attacked the city of Karbala, which houses the shrine of Imam Hussein, which is the grandson of Prophet Muhammad. The destruction, the Saudi forces entered the city, killed thousands of inhabitants, estimated range 2,000 to 5,000 people, and systematically demolished the dome over the tomb of Imam Hussein. They stripped the shrine of gold, jewels, carpets, viewing these as ornaments of symbols and idolatry. So, ladies and gentlemen, we see right here in 1802, the first Saudi state went to the Prophet's grandson graveyard and decimated the Prophet's grave site of his grandchildren, you see. And then they did it again in 1925. When the Saudis took control of Medina, they applied the same principles to the al-Baqi cemetery, where many of the al-Bayt means the people of the house, meaning the Prophet's family, okay? And the Prophet's companions were buried. They leveled the shrines and domes built over the graves of the imams, such as Imam Hassan. Hassan is the Prophet's first grandson in life, okay? That's Fatima's first son, her and Ali's first son, okay? Imam Sajid, Imam Bakr, and Imam Sadiq. All of those are Hassan. Then Sajid is the son of Hussein, who was killed. Imam Bakr is the son of Imam Sajid, and Imam Sadiq is the son of Imam Bakr. All of these are great grandchildren of Ali and the Prophet. And these people, known as the Salafi in their origin, go back to a different city, go to a graveyard, and totally just start decimating the graves. So when you can ask the question, because this is what I know in history, well, did Prophet Muhammad used to visit the cemetery al-Baqi? Yes, he did. He used to go pray for the deceased people, often saying, "Peace be upon you, abode of a people who are believers." He designated al-Baqi as a burial place for his companions and family, including his son Ibrahim and his daughters. He was known to stand among the graves and raise his hands while supplicating. And if you read the hadith, Fatima thought he was cheating on her, as far as cheating with her time and going to go be with another wife. And she followed him one night, and he was at this cemetery praying to lift their souls up. So, but this is the same cemetery you just saw that the Salafi, actually, and the Saudis went to this cemetery and totally tore the place up. Okay. So when we have today the University of Medina, the Islamic University of Medina, the thing that they teach there is what? Salafi Wahhabi tradition. Because remember, in the pack of diarrhea, he got with King Saud, and they say, "Hey, listen, you're going to teach the people, and I'll run the political side." So the view on their creed, they teach that a certain core Shia practices, such as calling upon the imams for help, believing in the infallibility of the imams, or cursing certain Sahaba, are deviations for Islam, in some cases acts of shirk. Okay? You will find many books in Medina bookstores specifically written to refute Shia beliefs. In the academic sense, the teachings remain firmly anti-Shia. Now, Shia is interesting because Shia is the group of people who literally followed the instructions of the prophet and literally was the family members of the prophet. Okay. So in Medina, they teach against this. Okay. So then when we go to the Quran in 9:107, if you know anything about the Quran, you'll know that this is the only surah in which the Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim does not open up that surah. It's not in this surah. The only one. And in Surah 9, they're really talking about the enemies of the prophet. And it reads, and there are those who put up a mosque by the way of mischief and infidelity to disunite the believers, and in preparation for the one who warred against Allah and his messenger aforetime. Stop, pause, ladies and gentlemen. I always say this is a prophecy. The enemies of the Prophet ﷺ did not have a masjid in his time. At the time of the Prophet, the enemies didn't have no masjid. And so it's telling you who warred against the Prophet beforehand. So what are they talking about? This is a prophecy that's telling you, you and I, wait a minute, there's a group of people who's going to come and build a masjid by the way of mischief and infidelity. They're going to disunite the believers. In Saudi Arabia, in dealing with Medina, Medina University, they don't have no classes that say, hey, the Shia over here teaching their classes. They say, no, the Shia is not allowed to teach classes here because we're killers of the Shia. The history just showed us that. So these are the people that the Quran is warning us about. I'll prove it. So as we look at the war, the word for war, rather, right? Fight, combat enemies. I find it very interesting that the word also means chameleon. Same root word, harb. Chameleon. So an enemy in the Arabic sense is someone who looks like you, because that's what a chameleon does. It blends in. Okay. So when we start looking at current masjids, I ain't gonna put the Imam name and the Sheikh name out there, but when we start looking at these Salafi masjids across America, what they tell you, the Imam is a scholar. He studied with the scholars of Medina, and the Sheikh at the masjid graduated from where? The Islamic University of Medina, and they have infiltrated the inner city of America, especially Philadelphia. I gotta say that. Especially Philadelphia. Okay.
Absolutely.
And their thing is they want you to, you gotta look at the spirit of this thing. Their thing is the Noble Quran. Because when you look at the translators of the Noble Quran, both of them, a Moroccan scholar who was a major figure in the modern Salafi movement, he was a professor where? At the Islamic University of Medina. Then when you look at Dr. Muhammad Muhsin Khan, Islamic scholar of Pakistani origin, who served as the director of the university hospital where? In Medina. Okay. So they have a certain, they got a protocol. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'll just put this here and I'll deal with this on a whole nother conversation. But please know, you know, because when I was dealing with this in Medina not too long ago, a meteorite had came through the heavens and hit in Medina County in Ohio, which I'll talk about the importance of what that event signifies. But you can see something in Surah 12:105. And how many signs within the heavens and earth do they pass by while they therefore are turning away? So the Quran is like, yo, we be showing you so many signs, but y'all keep turning y'all head. Y'all ain't even paying attention to knowing what this stuff means. That's in Quran. But again, that's another conversation. So when we look at the history of Saudi Arabia before it became Saudi Arabia, Ibn Saud established modern Saudi Arabia by defeating the family known as the Al-Rashid family, who was from the what? Hashemites. If we go down to the bottom, Prophet Muhammad belonged to Banu Hashim, which is what? A Hashemite clan.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order for the Saudis to gain control of the Hijaz and name it Saudi Arabia, because it wasn't Saudi Arabia yet, they fought against someone of the Prophet's clan, which would obviously be a family member many, many generations removed from the Prophet. Saudi Arabia, Salafism, Wahhabism, in this origin, I ain't saying the brothers of Islam, I'm not saying that. I'm just simply saying in a historical origin are enemies to the Prophet, and they control the education, they control the access to the masjid, they control the access to the Kaaba today. These are enemies. Okay? Enemies. All right. So now let's talk about Morocco, because obviously we got a Moorish connection here, right? So we got to get into Morocco. And one thing I have to say about this is because historically, not too long ago, when this was December 2011, Rahm Emanuel had issued a proclamation for the Moors to be recognized amongst the table of pretty much as a nation state. A theocratic government is actually what he puts in this document, which is a very interesting term that I dealt with before on my channel, dealing with how the Vatican is set up. Same year the Prophet Noble Ali breaks up out of here. The Vatican is set up as a theological state, right? A theocratic government and whatnot, which is a big wink on the style of government that we need to deal with. In fact, if we read right here, it says, whereas, this third, very last paragraph, whereas the Moorish Americans, being aboriginal to the territories of North, Central, and South America, have formed a sovereign, what? Theocratic government. We need to study that, okay? And then this had created and opened up the door for 2012 to come in, where various cities had made proclamations. Whether they stood on it or not, it don't matter to me. To me, what really matters is how do you take a proclamation and build upon the proclamation for that to become, let's just say, a city ordinance, which now is a law? How do you get that to become a state statute, which is a law? You understand what I'm saying? So how do you use this to just keep going further and whatnot? All right. So when we go to Morocco, two things. One, above his head, you will see in red, I boxed in the Amir al-Mumin. We're going to come to that title because that's a very important title. Historically. That's right. And then you will see that the Mohammed VI is king of Morocco, a member of the Alawi dynasty. Okay. All right. And so we see that. All right. And so when we get into the Alawi dynasty, in a nutshell, they're telling us that they claim descent from the Islamic prophet Muhammad through his grandson Hassan ibn Ali. Okay. So the Moroccan king to this day is saying our family comes from Hassan, who in return comes from Fatima, who in return comes from the prophet. Okay. So if we just look at this, let's be clear. We got Prophet Muhammad. He has a daughter named Fatima. Fatima marries the prophet's cousin, Ali. And then they have their first son named Hassan. The Moroccans are saying they come from Hassan, but then we get Noble Drew Ali, who ties us into Morocco, but he's carrying the name Ali. But when you deal with Ali, you start to deal with the Shia. That's because that's what the Shia say. Listen, we followed the instructions of the prophet. The prophet's instructions was clear. Whoever Mala master I am, then Ali is his master, and I'm going to show you this, right? And so to follow Ali is to follow the instructions. Now, I'm not telling you to be Shia, but what I am saying is I find it real funny how the black community didn't get introduced to Shia Islam. We got introduced to Sunni Islam. And I'm going to show you that the word Sunni, or the Sunni schools was educated from the Shia schools in the beginning. And the term Sunni is actually a fabricated term that was created by the Abbasids so they could continue to launch a war against the Prophet's family. But anyway, if we just looking at what's happening, the Prophet is literally tying in to Ali. Okay. All right. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, referred to Ali as the leader or commander of the faithful. What's the title? Amir al-Mumin, the same title that the Moroccan king has. See, they'll tell you that the Moroccans are Sunni, and boy, that's clever, because that's the art of war strategy. The Moroccans are clearly told us that they come from Hassan, which comes from Fatima and Ali, which goes back to the Prophet. Again, when you do that in Islam, that's Shia. Okay. So the Moorish Americans meet the Shia through lineage, because the Prophet Noble Ali is taking us to Ali and taking us to Morocco, and Morocco takes us to Hassan. But I find Allah is a very interesting force, because coincidences really mean something, especially in math. You have Muhammad Ali, who is considered the GOAT, and we got to ask ourselves why. It's not, and we know it's not that his boxing record itself, like his record really wasn't the best record to say the GOAT, right? If we calculate losses and draws and stuff like, and knockouts to win ratio, they ain't really the GOAT. But what he stood for in the timeline makes him the GOAT. Vietnam ain't never called me nigga and things like that kind of thought, right? But he's carrying the name Muhammad Ali, which that is Shia, because after Muhammad was supposed to be Ali. That's just what it is. And so then when somebody carries that frequency, that name, and then he gets this glory, what is it that God is trying to get our attention to recognize the power in Muhammad Ali? That is to get us to get back to the roots of Islam, when we really take it back to his roots. So now you have to touch Sufism, and while Sufism is important, we all know the Sufi Rumi and whatnot.
They all draw their lineage back to Ali.
That's right. They all come back to Ali. And when you look at Morocco, Morocco says Sufism has shaped Moroccan spirituality, politics, and culture from the 10th century to present day. Its influence remains visible in cities like Marrakesh and Fez, where the shrines dot the Medinas and devotional music fill courtyards at dusk. Moroccan Sufism blends Maliki Sunni jurisprudence, Ashari theology, and reverence for saints, expressed through music, poetry, and social mediation between tribes and communities. The Moroccan monarchy, meaning the king, actively promotes Sufi orders. Yes, that's what it says. Actively promotes Sufi orders. Yes, like the Bout Chachia, as a bulwark against religious extremism and as a source of religious soft power across West Africa and beyond. Travelers can experience Sufi culture throughout the shrine visits, zikr gatherings, and ceremonies and whatnot. Then it says Sufism and politics in Morocco. The king as Amir al-Mumin, Morocco's monarch, holds the title Commander of the Faithful, grounded in the claimed descent from the Prophet through Idris I and through the al-Bayt, meaning Ali lineage. This Sharifan authority is reinforced by the ties of major, which is Sufi shrines, positioning the king as both political ruler and spiritual pole. Now, historically, the Sufi lodges, look at this, historically, Sufi lodges mediated between the central state and the tribes, negotiating tax arrangements, brokering ceasefires, and mobilizing support against foreign threats. This made some of these Sufi shrines autonomous territories with significant leverage. So the Sufis, because in Morocco you have different native tribes that still got their native customs. And so in order for the king to be on the same accord with the people, the Sufism, or the Sufis rather, are the spiritual pole and liaison in between the community and government. So when you come over to Morocco, you absolutely, when you come to Moroccan Islam, you coming into Sufism and Ali. So now the Moorish Americans and African American Muslims, you met the Shia, and now you got to deal with the Moroccan Sufis. So we're supposed to be, as Moors, we're really supposed to be inside of, I'll just say, Sufism as well. I'll leave it at that. All right. Now, this at the time when I did my presentation, and this was probably about, I don't know, it was less than a month ago. I had a guy named Ali hit me up, and I do real estate, and he was just, he was on WhatsApp, and he was just sending out some promo and whatnot. So I had hit him back, and I said, Ali, salam, what country you in, beloved? He said, I'm in Pakistan. It's been a while, no conversation. And I'm like, man, do you got access to Sufi materials? You're like, yes, sir, I do. I said, I've been chilling, man, no real estate acquisitions, man. I'm turning one of my houses into a Sufi love center. He said, oh, I see no more real estate. That's good. You Muslim now? You learn Islam? So I had told me I've been in Islam. So he said, I asked him, do you have any books in English on Sufism? And when you get a sec, send me a pic of some zikr beads. He said, I don't have an English book, sir. I said, do they sell some there? I said, do you zikr with the Kisti category or the Nashbandi order? He said, the category order. I said, yes, sir, beautiful. Send me some zikr beads. And I said, does your sheikh speak English? And he said, no, boss, he don't. So I had just found it funny wallahi, I ain't got to lie, man. When I was working on this presentation originally, and we dealing with Hassan, we dealing with Morocco, taking you back to Hassan and Ali, then I get a random text message, right, from Ali. That's how it works in my world, because I stay, I guess I stay in the clouds, right? So whatever, all right? So that's how the divine speaks to me through these things. And then later that day, I get a text message from a brother, said, peace, Noble, this is Hussein. I spoke to you 2 days ago about finding title companies, because he hit me up. I need to check on him too, on some real estate stuff. So I get Ali, who hit me up while I'm working on this presentation originally. And then I get Hussein, which we know Hussein is the grandson of the Prophet. Okay. And so I said, okay, I'm in my zone. This is my confirmation. Alhamdulillah. Let's keep it going. All right. So I'm not going to get into this, but there is a connection. I talked about it on my channel, the Vatican, the Islamic Moorish American connection that deals with 40 acres and the mule. The Native Americans, I put it this way, the Native Americans got your 40 acres. I give you a quick reference. Go study the 1866 Treaty of the Choctaw and Chickasaw, and you will see the United States government is telling them that they got to have our 40 acres. That's who got it. Okay. And I would love to see Moors get together and put something together about this, because that's where it's at. All right. Now, there's some things that we absolutely need to know. Two things: knowledge / instructions of the Prophet Muhammad. Two, knowledge of time. This is very important. I think this is very important. Okay. Now, here's a hadith that reads, he praised Allah, extolled him, and delivered a sermon and exhorted us and said, now to our purpose. O people, I am a human being. I am about to receive a messenger, the angel of death, from my Lord. And I, in response to Allah's call, would bid goodbye to you. But I am leaving among you two weighty things. The one being the book of Allah, in which there is right guidance and light. So hold fast to the book of Allah and adhere to it. He exhorted us, told us to hold fast to the book of Allah. Then he said, the second are the members of my household. That's al-Bayt. Okay. I remind you of your duties to the members of my family. That's what he said. Okay. So this is in Sahih Muslim, which is considered the second most authentic hadith in Sunni, in the 6 canonical books of Sunni law. Sahih Bukhari is number 1, and Sahih Muslim, this is like gold to the Sunni perspective. So in Sahih Muslim, the Prophet is given a clear instruction. Hey, I'm going to leave behind 2 weighty things. I'm going to leave the Quran and my family. Hold fast to them. Okay? So this is why it's important to know the Prophet's family. And see, if you more of an Orthodox Muslim and we go down that hole, well, tell me about the Prophet's family, because this is his instructions upon him receiving the message from the death angel. He about to die. And so he like, so tell me, who is his family? And do you follow his family, or do you have the teachings of his family? Because that's important. It's really important. Okay. Now, excuse me, as he leaves there, he stops in the little town and he talks to the people. And he said, do I not have more authority over the believers than they have over themselves? They replied, yes, O messenger of Allah. He said, well, whoever I am his mala, then Ali is his mala. O Allah, befriend whoever befriends him and oppose whoever opposes him. Whoa. So you saying be friends with anybody who's friend of Ali, and you are to oppose anybody who oppose Ali. He asked Allah to do that. So therefore, if you're there with him at that time and he's leaving, you got clear instructions to befriend whoever befriends Ali, and you oppose whoever opposes Ali. That's your instruction. Okay? Now, the Sunnis like to say the word mala means friend as well, and they take the lesser definition. But the context of the conversation is about I have more authority. This ain't got nothing to do with friends.
With authority comes the word master.
That's right. And so for a Sunni to want to hold to the position of the lesser definition, just at the core, I'm just going to have to shoot it straight, means you an enemy in your heart. And the Quran talks about that. There will be a group of people that will say, I am a believer. And the Quran says, tell them you are not a believer. You are a submitter, which is a Muslim. That's why I said earlier, it's a difference between a Muslim and a believer. Because the faith has not entered your heart. This group of people weren't allowed to say they was believers. They were just submitters. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip this right here. All right. So I'll give you one clear example of this. You have Ubay, who was the master of reciters when it came to the Quran, and he was one of the chief scribes of the Prophet. Okay. So known as the master of reciters, Ubay was the Prophet's primary scribe and the man the Prophet called the best reciter of the Quran. His support for Ali carried immense weight because of his peerless religious authority. Let's go down to, well, we can read it out. His role in initial protest. Ubay is consistently listed in historical accounts as one of the companions who refused to acknowledge the leadership of Abu Bakr at the outset. The 12 men, he was part of the group of 12 who went to the Prophet's mosque to publicly challenge the events at Saqifa. What is Saqifa? Saqifa is a meeting that takes place when the Prophet has died. They haven't even buried him yet. There's a meeting taking place. Who's going to be the leader? Who's going to be the leader? And then amongst the companions of the Prophet, Abu Bakr and Umar go to the meeting. Abu Bakr nominates Umar. Umar said, no, you should be the leader. They agree. And some people said, no, Ali is not even here. Now, where I'm salty at, especially with Abu Bakr, is why don't the record reflect, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I know that we need leadership, but the Prophet isn't even in the earth yet. We haven't buried him. So let's hold this meeting off and deal with burying our Prophet, and then we can have this conversation. Nor does he say Ali and Fatima and the family members of the Prophet is not here. So let's make sure to everybody is here. When in the history has there been a small meeting and everybody's not included, in which the new leadership all of a sudden is going to be a new leadership? That sounds like a coup. That sounds like a takeover. That sounds like a plot. The whole community don't get no vote on this. Don't have no say so. The man ain't even in the ground buried yet. And y'all talking about leadership and you took leadership? Nah, that ain't cool. It's not cool. So anyway, the master of reciters, y'all see it for yourself. He's known as the master of reciters. He goes on with his argument and he says, "O people of the Ansar, meaning the people of Medina. Did you forget the words of the messenger of Allah on the day of Qadir Kum? Did you forget his words of whomsoever I am his master, Ali is his master? So we just read that hadith. And here go the master of reciters of the Quran is saying, what's wrong with y'all? Along with 11 other people, is saying, yo, Abu Bakr, what are you doing? Yo, didn't y'all hear what the prophet said? Ali is the master. And this became known as the Sunni Shia split. And that's important for us to understand. Because somehow, some way, we became Sunni because they did an excellent job at dawah, at the missionary work of spreading the work. And that's where the Shia slacked right there, in a sense. So then the prophet says this, and this is in Sahih Muslim. There will be rulers you will recognize and reject. There'll be rulers after me. You will recognize their evil and you will reject it. Whoever rejects is innocent. Whoever resists is saved, but whoever accepts and follow is destroyed. Note that, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be people who are coming that are going to be evil leaders, and you should not follow them because you're going to be destroyed if you follow them, okay? Then he's going to say, there will be leaders who will not follow my guidance and will not follow my sunnah. Among them will be men with hearts of devils in human bodies. So there's going to be some leaders that are going to be devils, okay? Then he goes on to say, or somebody, this is what they said, he said, I heard the messenger of Allah say, Islam will continue to be triumphant until there have been 12 caliphs. Then the prophet said something which I could not understand. I asked my father, what did he say? He said, he had said that all of them, the 12 caliphs, will come from the Quraysh tribe. So then he says, hey, there's going to be 12 leaders. So there's going to be some evil leaders, and then Islam is going to continue to be triumphant until there has been 12 leaders, ladies and gents. Well, let's lay it out on the line then. Let me close this patio real quick, bro. Hold on. All right. So let's lay it out on the line. On the left-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, you had caliphs, and they became leaders of empires. They will later be known as Sunni and Salafi. Later. That's Abu Bakr, that's Umar, that's Uthman. And you would hear people say the first four, Ali is number 4, are the rightfully guided caliphs. I challenge that notion.
Rightfully guided caliphs.
The Rashidun caliphs. That's what they say. That's what history say. Abu Bakr, a little disappointed on some things. I can go show you who he picked to be in certain positions, which were enemies to the prophet. But since the prophet let them in, he gets a pass. He was real slick in how he was doing things. It's really hard to pin him down from my viewpoint. But Umar and Uthman was a man, was a mug. Uthman was actually, I'll get into it in a second. But Uthman is from the Umayyah family, who were enemies to the prophet from the very beginning. All right. So we got that side on the left-hand side. The people on the left-hand side, starting at number 5, Muawiyah, number 5 on down, they persecuted and killed the prophet's family on the right-hand side, known as the Shia. So the Shia say, listen, we follow Ali after the prophet. He's our number 1. Then after Ali was murdered, then Hassan was murdered by Muawiyah. Muawiyah had Hassan poisoned. Then Yazid, number 6 on the left, had Hussein beheaded. The prophet's grandson was beheaded. Okay. So then when they see Marwan the first played a part of Hussein being beheaded. Okay. And then number 9, Ab al-Malik ibn Marwan actually has something to do with the poison of Ali ibn al-Hussein, known as Zain al-Abidin, also known as the one who always prays. They say he prayed, number 4 on the right-hand side, he would pray over 100 rakahs a day. He was always in the prayer position. Okay. So there are people on the left-hand side who were leaders who were absolutely enemies to the prophet. And if we can't articulate that and we don't know that, then it's fine. We don't know it. We need to come back to the drawing board and just, just come back to the drawing board. But the truth of the matter is we could be following these people, such as, for example, number 9 is the one who built the Dome of the Rock. Man, mother F the Dome of the Rock. The Dome of the Rock is beautiful, but its architect is a killer of the prophet's family. So we think the Dome of the Rock is, it's in Jerusalem. No, Al-Aqsa is actually the site that's holy, not the Dome of the Rock. But we don't know that. You understand what I'm saying? And so we fall for it, and then we got our invisible spiritual allegiance is to the enemies of the prophet, and we don't know it, and we think we being righteous. That's deep. Because now we following the practice and the customs of the enemy of the prophet, and we don't know it. So when we see things like Imam Hanafi, some may say Hanifa, Imam Malik, Shafi, and Hanbal, again, the political scapegoats of what became Sunni Islam, they were students and lovers of the prophet's family. I'm about to show you how the Abbasids created Sunni and played a trick on the people. So pay close attention to this, y'all. Imam Jafar al-Sadiq is the 6th Imam on the Shia side. Him and his father, let me go back, number 5, Muhammad ibn al-Bakr, known as the splitter of knowledge, number 5. Number 5 and number 6, father and son team, this is where they Shia really start getting the teachings going right here. And people are really learning from them. And the enemy, which is the political state at the time, the Abbasids, seen them as a serious problem. Imam Hanafi studied from Imam Jafar al-Sadiq, and Imam Malik also studied from Imam Jafar al-Sadiq. You can look this up. So when you look at the 4 schools, it'll tell you the scholarly consensus acknowledged by historians of both traditions, the Sunnis don't deny this, is that both Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik sat in the circles of Imam Jafar al-Sadiq in Medina. So Hanafi, the first Sunni school, studied under Jafar. Maliki, the second Sunni school, studied under Jafar. Shafi, the third, studied under Nafisa. Nafisa comes from the lineage of Hassan, just like the Moroccans come from the lineage of Hassan, in which who? Prophet Noble Drew Ali ties us back to Morocco, okay? And then Hanbal indirectly studies from Jafar and Nafisa because Hanbal was a student of Shafi, okay? So now when we let's look into this. Let's look at Abu Hanifa, or some may say Hanifa, the first school. He was arguably the most politically active of the 4. He didn't just sympathize with the prophet's family, he funded their revolutions. Now dig this. The Zayd ibn Ali uprising, when Zayd ibn Ali, the grandson of Imam Hussein, rebelled against the Umayyads, Abu Hanifa compared Zayd's journey to the prophet's journey to Badr and sent him 10,000 stacks. That's what we were saying our time. He sent him 10 racks to support the cause. Look at the consequences. His refusal to serve as judge for the Abbasids, whom he viewed as illegitimate compared to the Alids. Wait a minute. The Alids is the same people that the Moroccans say they are part of. We just saw that. Led to his imprisonment and his eventual death in prison. So the political power known as the Abbasids did not like Abu Hanifa. All right, I say Hanifa, okay? And like him. Imprisoned him to his death. Okay? Now, it says Ahmed ibn Hanbal, we go to the fourth one, lived during a later period and was more focused on the tradition than active rebellion, but made a major shift in Sunni thought regarding to the al-Bayt. Squaring for the Caliphate at the time, many Sunnis only recognized the first three Caliphs. You see that? They didn't recognize Ali. But it was Hanbal who insisted that Ali must be included as the fourth, threatening to boycott anyone who disagreed. He famously stated, no companion, Sahab, no companion has had many or as many virtues narrated about him with authentic change as Ali. So again, I'm gonna show you the Abbasids use Sunniism to quash the supporters of the Prophet and his family, aka the Shia. So pay close attention. Look at all the time these four so-called founders, they was not founders of these schools because these schools didn't exist until 20 years for Abu Hanifa, 20 plus years for Imam Malik, 80 years for Shafi, and the Hanbal school didn't come until 245 years later. But the Sunnis want us to believe that these are their, that they were Sunni. And all of them supported the Prophet's family. All of them. And I have you go look into it because one of them, who was it? The fourth one, Ahmed Hanbal, they actually dislocated his shoulder and chained him and drug him back via camel. This is documented. Shafi used to write poetry about the family. Malik didn't. He issued a law that said, no, you don't have to support the new caliphate through force. It's invalid if you try to force them. If you try to Pusheisty Gucci man them, you can't do that. And so they was on Malik's head about that. All of them, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, got repercussions from the Abbasid government because all of them were supporters of them. So what the enemy did was, after their death, they infiltrated those schools and called them schools and said, no, this is our school of fiqh. But at the core, these people were supporters and students of the Prophet's family from the Shia side. So let me show you the art of war and just show you one example of what I mean. If we look at Caliph al-Ma'mun from the Abbasids, and he meets with Imam Ali al-Rida, which is like the 8th Imam, right? Al-Ma'mun in 817, in the move that shocked both Sunni and Shia worlds, he officially designated Imam al-Rida, the 8th Imam of 12 of Shia, as his successor and heir apparent to the Abbasid Caliphate. There was a civil war that took place. He had just finished a bloody war against his brother, which had left Baghdad in ruins, and the Abbasid family was divided. The pro-Shia revolts were popping up everywhere. By appointing the head of the al-Bayt as the heir, al-Ma'mun hoped to neutralize Shia opposition and win over the Ali sympathizers. He wanted to portray himself as the philosopher king who prioritized merit and profit and the Prophet's family over his own tribal interests. But the caveat was Imam Ali could not vote. He couldn't write decisions. He couldn't do anything. He had absolutely no power. Look into it. You will see. So here is a clear evidence right here of the enemy trying to infiltrate you and save face. And we don't know this history. We don't know this history. But that's what Sunni is. Okay? So when we go to Moorish Spain, the Moorish Spain OG is Ibn Masara. And this is important because Ibn Masara, he got exiled. kicked out and went to the mountains in Cordova, Spain. And after his death, they persecuted. They burnt all his books. Only like 2 books survived. Burnt all his material. But the political power of Moorish Spain is under Maliki jurisdiction, under Maliki fiqh. And he wasn't a Maliki. They say they linked his interest into Mutazilite theology, is what they say. And so when we look at how the 4 schools of Sunni fiqh is divided up, so-called Sunni fiqh, because really in their origin is really coming from the Prophet's family, but they don't want to, I just showed you what happened.
They don't
North
want to
Africa
acknowledge
is
that.
Maliki, right? Say it again.
I said they don't want to acknowledge that.
Oh no, I don't acknowledge it. So when we look at, okay, when who's the founder of the Mutazilite school, we come to Wasil ibn Atta. They tell you he's the founder of it. But they also say he initially studied under who? Abd Allah ibn Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiya, the grandson of who? Ali. So Moorish Spain mysticism is coming from Ali's family. So the mystical Islam is coming from the Shia side, ladies and gentlemen. It's a fact. It's a fact. All right. So enemies of Islam, enemies of time. And I want to point out something real quick because it's important that we know time. The Quran has a verse right here that says, "By time surely man is in loss." It's like Surah 103. By time surely man is in loss, and loss means to cause damage, to harm. Don't mean LOST, like you lost at sea and don't know where to go. No, it means you're lost, like you've been hurt. So surely by time mankind is lost. The heavens is an important concept in the Quran. It's mentioned over 300 some times. In the heaven, we construct it with strength. That word strength also means support, as you can see. It means to confirm, corroborate, or to endorse something. So the heavens endorse you. The heavens support you. The heavens got your back. And you see the word supported him. Support, strength. So you know I ain't making it up. So the heavens support us, ladies and gents. But that's the Islam they don't teach. And I don't know why, because this verse right here in Dariat clearly says, and in the heaven is your provision and whatever you're promised. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, everything that we're promised is in the heaven. You mean Allah ain't got nothing for us? He already dropped it off. Allah ain't got nothing for you. He busy. It's already in the heaven. According to this is a heavy statement. I said, oh, I know what you're talking about. And that's where the study of the science really comes in at this particular point, because your provision is already in the heaven. So to me, you cannot be an imam and don't know about heavenly provision. Tell me where my heavenly provision is. That should be your health. That should be your wealth. That should be your house. That should be your spouse. That should be everything. Show me where it's at. And then here's the kicker. What if all of these things are in different locations? Can you show me where they at? Because now it's scattered. So show me where it is. What does this talk about? Because this is a deeper statement than saying the rainwater comes down and replenishes the vegetation for us to eat. This is deeper than that. It says, in whatever you are promised. So if you got married and you got children, I would think that was promised to you. That's in the heavens. How? Where? Show me. Oh, so you got to come to the astral science. You absolutely do. Absolutely do. And then it says, by the winds that scatter a broadcast. I said, oh, what? By the winds that scatter a broadcast. Because there's signals, radio signals, information. That's why the prophet said, what did he say? Hey, I'm about to receive a message. I'm about to receive a broadcast. Because when you understand the science of the wave, the first wave is what? When it comes in, a radio wave. Then when it vibrates faster, it may go to X-ray or infrared, and then it go to visible spectrum, right? But the radio is first. Hence, God is the word. Here's a verse in the Quran that saying, those that distribute and portion by command, verily that which ye are promised is true. Okay, you said in the heavens is our provision and everything promised to us. But then you say the winds the winds are scattering this command. So this is a science the Quran is talking about, right? So when we talk about Ramadan and the night of power, it's not the power. It's actually the same word power, qadr, means measurement. Means measurement, right? And so this is what the prophet said in his farewell speech. And this alarms me. And this is what all Muslims, any Muslim who just practiced Ramadan that just passed, you're going to have to sit down and wrestle with this one. Okay? Just like I had to wrestle with it, you're going to have to wrestle with it too. And this is what it says. This is the prophet's farewell sermon. It says, O men, the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar in order to make permissible that which Allah has forbade and to prohibit what Allah has made permissible. With Allah, the months are 12 in number. 4 of them are holy, 3 are successive, and 1 singly between the months of Jumada and Shaban. Then he says, beware of Satan. My point is, the prophet said, and he's blowing the whistle here, he's sounding the alarm, the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar. Ladies and gentlemen, the current Muslim calendar came into existence 7 years after the prophet's death under Umar. I'm not saying Umar had a malicious intent on creating a calendar. I'm just saying what the prophet said. So that must mean that, hey, the way the prophet kept time, either that was wrong and we're correct now, or this new thing is incorrect and the prophet was correct. Because I never heard the prophet being wrong in his timekeeping. He didn't never say, hey, my system is, no, we're going to this new thing. It's wrong. He never said that. What he did say, though, is, hey, y'all, the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar. Then I start looking, I said, well, wait a minute. Who is Umar? You can Google this. Like, was Umar an enemy to the Prophet Muhammad at first? Yes, he wanted to kill Prophet Muhammad in the beginning. He slapped his own sister for reciting the Quran, and then later had a change of heart and became a Muslim. He didn't become a believer. He became a Muslim. See, the Quran makes it clear about the distinction between Muslims and believers. Umar was a Muslim. Umar, go look it up. The Prophet had someone who kept his secrets. And that person had a list of hypocrites. After the Prophet died, you know, Umar asked him, am I on a list of hypocrites? Look into it. Just simply ask Google, did Umar ask, was he on a list of hypocrites? That must mean you think you're a hypocrite. Because he was a hypocrite. And I'll give you one thing. This is called the Hadith of pen and paper. Look it up. The Hadith of pen and paper. The Prophet is on his deathbed and he said, give me a pen and paper so I can write down these things so you will not be misguided. Umar said, don't give him no pen and paper. We have the Quran. He is out of his mind right now. He's crazy. The wives are arguing with him, get our husband, the Prophet, a pen and paper. And I don't know what the men was doing. I don't know where Ali was at. Somebody should have smacked the living out of Umar. What you mean? Then Umar gets into an argument with the Prophet's wife. Can you imagine somebody? The Prophet is on his deathbed, beloved, and he wants pen and paper, and he says, no, the Prophet is out of his mind, and then he starts arguing with your Prophet's wife or wives? What? This is the ultimate level of disrespect. That's Umar. The calendar came in creation under him. Again, I'm not saying he had a malicious intent, but what the Prophet pointed out was, oh man, the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar. That's deep. So that
That's
means
deep.
the Prophet Ramadan was correct or incorrect. Which one is it? Because we can't both be right at the same time. And see, this is deep because I think I got a slide that can kind of articulate it a little bit. So I'll get to it in a minute. The prophet says this in blue. All those who listen to me shall pass my words on to others, and those to others again. And may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. This is in the same speech. And I love this because he must be saying something in code, ladies and gentlemen. All those who listen to me, wait a minute, who listened to him? Ali was there, Umar, Abu Bakr, they there. Shall pass on my words to others, those others to others again, and may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. Whoa. So the people who were there, you have this wish that the people who wasn't there is going to understand what they was what they said you said better than them who actually heard it. So now are you saying something in code? Because now I'm just like, okay, well, if you tell somebody wash your hands after before you eat, wash your hands before you eat. There ain't really nothing cold about that in a sense, right? So something is coded here. Even if it's not coded, he has a wish that we're going to understand it better than those who were there. And what's funny to me is the Salafi like to pride themselves after the first 3 generations, where the prophet is saying, nah, may the last ones understand better than the ones who was actually here with me. And I'm not saying you're not supposed to try to go to the source. Of course, go to the source. But the prophet has a wish that we have a better understanding than the ones that was there. So when we go into Surah 9, and it talks about indeed the number of months of Allah is 12, and 4 are sacred, and this is the correct religion. Do not wrong yourselves during them. Hold on. And fight against the disbelievers collectively as they fight against you collectively. Wait a minute. So now if you wrong yourself in the religion by keeping your enemy's Ramadan, who took you off the real timeline, you just wronged yourself in the religion because you wronged yourself by time. That's why the Quran said, while us ina lasana lafikus, by time surely mankind is at loss. So if you practice the Sunni timeline, and see, this is why I got to get off the Shia train and the Sufi train, because nobody is really, from what I've seen thus far, they're not putting this final piece together, this big piece. To me, this is a big piece. Cosmic timing is a big thing. Your whole festivals is predicated upon this. And so you're in error. You're in a big error. So let's look at the heavens and kind of get an idea of what I'm saying here. In this diagram, it's September the 22nd, 2026. This is known as usually around the fall equinox. Okay. The sun you would see over there in winter, that's the Leo constellation. Where it says spring, that's the Virgo constellation. Why do I have that there? It's because when the earth is in these quadrants, remember 4 are sacred. We got 4 seasons. When the earth is here in the summertime, the sun appears in front of Leo Virgo. So I'm marking the space based off where the earth experiences its seasons at. The Quran says the months are 12 and 4 are sacred. 4 are sacred. And what a coincidence, you have 4 seasons. Okay. So let me show you something astronomical. There's something known as the Laniakea supercluster that contains 100,000 galaxies that includes our galaxy. And we're moving towards it, ladies and gentlemen. All these galaxies, 100,000 galaxies, is moving towards a central point that's about 650 million light years away. We're moving towards it. How do you find it in space? Pay attention to the very bottom. It says it has a Ra of 1,300 hours, 27.9 minutes. That's 1:27, okay, p.m. How do we get this location? Well, you see the top arrow is pointing at 1327. So you know the ascension is the same. And then where this pointing to in the middle is this region of space where this energy is located at, the direction in which we're going. Note on 9/20/610, the year that the Quran is revealed, the sun on 9/20, I'm just doing 9/20 as an example, the sun appears right here in this region of space. 9/20 is important because 9/20 is going to be a shift known as the fall equinox. When you look at the root word for Ramadan, it means parchness, scorching hot. Ramad, it's hot, hot. Okay. All right. So on 9/20, when we transition from Virgo going into Libra, summer going into fall, where they say traditionally Ramadan was in that pocket, notice the sun is on the celestial equator on that blue line. And that white arrow says 0 because the sun has a 0 declination at that time. This only happens twice a year, 6 months prior or 6 months after. When we get to the spring equinox, the sun is right back at this point. And please do note, this is also the time of year where the Hebrew culture practiced Rosh Hashanah. The direction in which we are going, as we saw shapely, when I back up here, is directly in straight alignment with a star called Spica. That's funny. Benjamin Banneker designed Washington, D.C., the federal government triangle, the federal triangle based off 3 stars, and Spica is one of those stars. And Spica is the Washington Monument in the design. Okay. So Spica, the Virgin, is holding in her hand this star that appears right there. That's the gateway into the direction in which we are going. And it's on September the 20th. Traditionally, summer going into fall, the traditional Ramadan, summer going into fall, the sun is at a 0 point, which I have that conversation on a different presentation on why that's important, and finding where Ramadan originally is or was. We're right here at the same alignment where 100,000 galaxies are going. You think Allah not is the what we say is the creator of the heavens and the earth don't know where we going? Chapter 85 is called The Big Stars or Galaxies and Sun. It opens up, I swear, by the zodiac signs. That's chapter 85 in the Quran. We're going somewhere. So why wouldn't Allah know where we're going? I just find it again coincidence that when we come to the fall equinox, coming out of summer, going into fall, when they say historically Ramadan was fall going in, around this time, hey, the sun happens to be precisely in the perfect alignment of the direction in which we are going as a galaxy. That's deep to me. So ask the question, because I know this. Are the 12 Islamic months from the age of ignorance? Yes. The names of the 12 Arabic months come from pre-Islamic era, commonly referred to in the Islamic tradition as Jalaliya, the age of ignorance. So then my question is, and why would we be following ignorant people when they timekeeping? That don't make no sense to me. It makes no sense. So when you see things like the first spring and the second spring, and then all of a sudden the 5th month means first dry or frozen month, it has to mean first dry because it don't go from spring to winter, right? It goes to spring to summer. So maybe it means first dry. Okay, cool. And we see things like Ramadan, scorching heat. The 10th month, we see Shawwal where the camels raise their tail. And I ask the question, well, when do the camels raise their tail for mating? They say that's in November. November to December. Well, that's fall going into the winter. To March, April, that's spring. If Ramadan is before that, then that's pushing us what? September, October? That's very interesting. Something's off here. I'll let you ponder that for a second. And this is what I know historically. Who suggested that the Islamic calendar start at this month? Uthman ibn Affan is the one that says, let's start the year with Muharram or Muharram, because haram means forbidden, but also means sacred or holy. So the Arabs didn't even have a concept of when to start a year. They would just remember events. Hey, you remember that one time there was all the elephants? Hey, you remember the one time it was all the birds? They didn't have a concept of year 1, year 2, year 3. So they didn't have no starting point. And Uthman did this. Now, I find it funny with Uthman because Uthman to me is an infiltrator by blood. I said earlier, Uthman comes from the Umayyad clan. The Umayyad clan is the clan who fought Ali and killed Ali's children. That's a fact. That's who Uthman is from. Did Uthman bring back Marwan? Yes. He allowed Marwan to return to Medina and gave him a position as an advisor and scribe. Did Uthman give Fadak to Marwan? They say this is disputed. The Shia say yes, Sunni say no. Fadak is this land property that the Prophet had that was supposed to have been given to Fatima. Abu Bakr didn't give it to Fatima because he said, hey, I heard the Prophet say prophets don't leave inheritance. So this is going to be controlled by the community. The community have access to it. Umar said, okay, fine. When he got in power after Abu Bakr, he said the community have access to it. Uthman gets in power and they say, no, he gave it to his cousin Marwan. But here's the question. Was Marwan an enemy of Ali? Yes. They were political opponents. Marwan was aligned with the Umayyad. Ali led the opposing side during the first fitna of the Civil War. The Battle of the Camel was what it's called. So Marwan fought against Ali. Wait a minute. What did the Prophet say? Oppose whoever opposed him. That's what he said right here. Remember? Oppose whoever opposed Ali. But wait a minute. Marwan was a leader at one point in time. I'll show you. Aisha is a very interesting person because the Prophet referred to her as a devil. Aisha, what has happened to you? Do you feel jealous? Thereupon she said, how can it be a woman like me should not feel jealous in regard to a husband like you? Thereupon Allah's messenger said, it was your devil who had come to you. And she said, Allah's messenger, is there along me with a devil? He said, yes. I said, is a devil attached to everyone? He said, yes. Aisha said again, Allah's messenger, is it with you also? He said, yes, but my Lord has helped me against him. And as such, I am absolutely safe from his mischief. She started the civil war and fought against Ali. This is a fact. Here go Marwan right here. Ruler number 4. Didn't the Prophet say some of these people are going to be evil? So if he says Islam will be triumphant until we have 12 leaders, that's what the Prophet said. Well, shoot. If we count the 4 before the Umayyads, Marwan would be number 8. So is he a part of the righteous or is he part of that enemy group? This is why we have to know this. He's part of that enemy group. Y'all saw it. He went to war against Ali. Okay? But Ali says this, O people, by Allah, what they have done is not new. They have conspired against the legacy of the Prophet and twisted the religion away from its axis. Ali is telling us this conspiracy is not new. This been going on. But we don't get that history. So the prophet kept the same time method as the Hebrews. We got to keep that in mind. His predecessor, Moses, Abraham. Think about that. We didn't get this calendar that we got until 7 years after the prophet's death. So then what was his method of timekeeping? The way his predecessors kept time? What did they use? A lunisolar calendar, a 19-year cycle. 7 of those 19 years are leap years. They go to circle 7. So you got 3, 6, 8, 11, 14, 17, and 19. Those are the leap years. Sometimes it's 2 years that's passes. Sometimes it's almost 3, but it's never longer than 3. So as long as you do 7 leap months inside of a lunar calendar within 19 years, you will keep the season, Ramadan means hot, in the right place. You just practice Ramadan in February, ladies and gentlemen. It's not hot. That's not summer. And then eventually, in a couple years, you'll be in January. In a couple years, you'll be in February. And you'll be floating all around the cosmos because you follow the enemies of Islam. And that's just the truth. Unbeknownst. But now you have a responsibility to rectify that. Because the Quran, the Quran says something about
You can't
that.
unring the bell. You cannot unring the bell.
You cannot. So I find it funny though, the Quran says over it is 19. But wait a minute. The way that the Jews or the Hebrews were keeping time was 7 years within 19 years is a leap year. So 19 is the magic number or the total period of time. But the Quran says over it is 19. You see? So the Quran knows. And this is the ultimate sword to erase this shirk calendar that we have. And we made the night and day 2 signs. Then we erased the sign of the night. The sign of the night is the moon. And we made the sign of the day visible, that you may seek bounty from your Lord, that you may know the account of years. Whoa. Why are you erasing the sign of the night and leaving the sign of the day so we can account for years? Because you count a year with the earth and the sun. The moon ain't got nothing to do with a year. Absolutely nothing to do with a year. Nothing. So we erase the sign of the night, which means what, ladies and gentlemen? This is a prophecy. It is yet to come about. Has the sign of the night been erased? See, this ain't see, this is what I'm saying. You got to take your time with the Quran. This ain't one of those, oh, no, it just means that when it became the daylight, the nighttime went away and was erased. And it's daylight now. It's the morning. No. That's not what that means. It's not what that means. Okay? You got to come off that moon thing. The moon is to be used in a different manner. And that's another conversation as well. But not for keeping a year. Clearly, that's not how you keep a year. See, what blows me with Ramadan is this. You don't practice that foolishness in no other thing in your life. I can't say if your birthday is July 4th, and then somebody eventually comes along and say, hey, man, your birthday this year is in June, and then eventually it's in February. You will be like, no, it's not. You don't do that. You don't shift anniversaries. You don't shift your children's birthdays. You don't do nothing like that. You don't do none of that. So the Jews don't even do that, right? And that's important. That Hebrew aspect is very important because they have to keep the seasons and the festivals in alignment. In other words, what makes Easter Easter? The first fixed marker that you have to get to is the spring equinox. March 20th, about March 20th on average. The sun is at a 0 point at the celestial equator. Then The first full moon that we cite after that physical event, Earth-Sun relationship, we erase the sign of the moon. The first full moon that comes after that event, then we say, hey, that following Friday is Good Friday, and that Sunday is going to be Easter. So if the first event is March the 20th, and the full moon comes March 21st, the next day, then the following Friday, we're going to have Good Friday, and Easter is going to be in March. But when we get to March 20th and the full moon was March 19th, guess what? The next full moon on average is going to be around April the 18th, 17th in that pocket. So guess what? You're going to have an Easter in April because the full moon just came slightly before the March the 20th fixed point reference. So they have to introduce a leap month. If you're dealing with a lunar calendar, a leap month every so often, like how we have to introduce a leap day in February every 4 years when the years is divisible by a certain number, however they do that. Because what happens is in a year, we get 365 days and 6 hours. So in the course of 4 years, if we don't account for those 6 hours, we drift back 1 day. And if you do that over a long period of time, everything starts to shift. Your Christmas is now on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is now in October. Everything starts to shift backwards. Like you see Ramadan shifts earlier, 11 days prior every year. So the prophet said, beware the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar so they can make permissible which Allah has forbade. And this happens every year when they do this. So for example, this year, Ramadan starts on February the 17th. February the 16th is not holy this year. Next Ramadan is going to start around, let's see, it's February 17th minus 11, February the 6th, the 5th in that pocket. Guess what? February the 16th, that wasn't a part of the holy Ramadan this year in 2026. In 2027, February the 16th is going to be holy. See, you just made something that was impermissible permissible. And you do it every single year by following this. You see? So this is a big conversation that need to be had. Because again, Sufis follow this, Shia Muslims follow this, everybody's following this. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Because see, astronomy has always been one of those subject matters that's just been a little too, I guess, a little too far spaced out for people. You know what I mean? You just lose it. So anyway, the Quran says, listen, and those who put up the mosque by the way of mischief to disunite the believers, let's go to 108. Never stand foot therein. There is a mosque whose foundation was laid on the first day on piety. Piety is taqwa, which is righteousness. It is more worthy of standing forth for prayer therein. In it are men who love to be purified, right? So the Quran tells us you're not even supposed to stand in your enemy's masjid. Whoa, that's deep. Because the enemies actually control Medina. Like you're not even supposed to stand in your enemy's masjid. That's heavy, man. That is heavy. Never stand foot therein. Like, okay. All right. Then it goes on to tell us how, seeing that they can get an advantage over you, they respect not in you the ties of either of kinship. Then in 9:10 it says, in a believer they respect not the ties either of kinship. Whoa. So now these enemies who put up a masjid, they don't respect the ties of the bloodline. Wait a minute. Didn't Prophet Muhammad say, hey, I leave behind two weighty things. I leave behind the Quran and I leave behind my family. I stress my family. Hey, Ali is his master. Whoever oppose Ali, oppose him. And then these people start fighting against Ali and Ali's children and killing them, putting them on house arrest, imprisoning them, poisoning them. Listen, all of them got poisoned. I don't know if y'all understand that. All of them got poisoned. Listen, out of the 12 imams on that side, take Ali out the situation, because Ali was killed by someone who was on his side, but when they end up doing the truce, the enemy came with Qurans on the battlefield and wanted to do a peace treaty. The soldiers didn't want to fight. It was like, hey man, they got the Quran in their hand, man. We shouldn't kill them. Ali knew it was a trick, but your soldiers don't want to fight, don't fight. And one of the soldiers that was helping Ali, they're like, yo, man, don't do no peace treaty. But my soldiers don't want to fight, do a peace treaty. So Ali at the masjid making prayer, dude come in who was an ally. Nah, man, we don't want to side with the enemy. Boom, and they kill Ali. Ali's son Hussein is beheaded. Now that's 10 more imams left. All 10 are poisoned. Look into it. So the Quran says, hey, there's a group of people who are going to create masjids that's enemies. But I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, the masjids were not in place yet at the time of the prophet. So it's a prophecy. And these people are not going to respect the bloodline of the prophet. Then later, what happened? King Saud, founder of Saudi Arabia, and Wahhabism, now what they consider the founder of Wahhabism and the Salafis, they go into these cities and they decimate the graves and kill 2,000 to 5,000 Shia, which are supporters and family members of the Prophet. This is right here in the Quran. We ain't even supposed to be stepping in their masjid. Okay? So Islam in America, the legacy continues. Without a shadow of a doubt, the legacy continues. And may we all have our we have our own identity, for sure. For sure. Without a shadow of a doubt. The Saudi thing is not the thing. That's not it. That's not it. And may we gain the great understanding and beautiful continue the work of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, tying us back into Morocco and tying us back into the Ali dynasty. Because that was the Prophet's instructions. That was Prophet Muhammad's instructions to follow Ali. And that's why we got a Noble Drew Ali. And then we eventually got a Muhammad Ali. That is how Allah speaks. All right. So you can get with me, man. The Golden Heart Love Center is a work of joy that I'm doing. It's the house that I'm in right now. It's actually one of my properties. When the tenant, I just gotta tell the truth. When the tenant, he died some months ago. And I had to renovate the property. I said, you know what? I'm going to use this as a Sufi love center, so-called Sufi. I really get into Moorish mysticism. You can call it Sufism, that's cool, but it's a difference between Moorish mysticism and Sufism. So maybe I may explain that, but it's called the Golden Heart Love Center. It's what we have. Just kind of give you a little. It's my little backyard. What I'm doing, I got a little rain barrel back there. It's actually full for the first time. So I got my first rain. Got a raised garden bed that I'm doing, and I got more garden beds that I'm about to put down. It's currently April, so I'm in zone 6, and the frost is really mid-May. End of frost is mid-May, technically. You know what I mean? So May is our planting season, but I got some stuff going early and whatnot. But you can check me out, man. Golden Heart Love Center. Got to update the website, but the Cash App is Golden Heart Love Center. I do have a mortgage on this place, so yeah. Help is greatly needed and whatnot. Anything that you can do, you know what I mean? If you can, it's gonna be a phenomenal thing. Be backyard fire pit Sufi chants that we do. I got some cool technology that I invested in years ago with aura chakra technology, heart technology to show you your energy fields, because that's my zone right there. That's my thing. You know what I mean? And just a host of things that I'll provide. And there's packages that's coming soon where you can come for a day or come for a weekend and whatnot. And I'm in right on the countryside, right behind my neighbor's house. There's a big old empty field. We got a horse barn. I go get farm eggs over here. I get my hay from over here. Below that blue tarp that you see way over there in the corner on the right-hand side under the logo next to the shed, fresh live horse poop. You know what I mean? But just learning how to become self-sustainable is the key. And that's what a wealth is for me, for sure. So I own properties, I landlord, I do new construction projects. It is a pain in the butt, but it is a great thing to be a part of at the same time and whatnot. But this is the beautiful space that I'm choosing to, open up and share with those who um on that wavelength and whatnot. So check it out, man. Golden Heart Love Center on Cash App. You will see a golden heart pop up, and send something through if you can, you know. So that's it for me, beloved. You know what I mean? Um, a truth that we just need to get to, man. It's just understanding that history, You know. Yep. You still there, beloved? You there? Can you hear me? It's like, yeah, you may have stepped away. Yeah. But man, I got something else loaded up. I don't know. I may got something else loaded up back here, but it's all good. You still there, Chief? Man, y'all gotta excuse me, man. I cannot sit under cold weather. Something was trying to get me. I'm like, man, my throat scratchy as a mug, man. So I've been on some ginger lately. So yeah, let me shoot Chief a text. So I don't know if he's still back here. So I know I got some old slides. That's some AI stuff that I just did just to get a understanding and whatnot of it. But I'm a real I love to be zen, man. I really do. You know what I mean? I love to be in just chill mode. Give me some food, give me some nature, let's talk about God, and that's heaven to me. You know what I mean? So just was getting some ideas. That is the color that I'm gonna paint the deck, a tricolor though. A 3-color deck for sure and whatnot. But that's the actual house, and that's my actual neighbor's house too and whatnot. Um but yeah. And then of course I'm on Patreon under my name, Noble Anpu. In fact, if you can check out nobleampucourses.com. Nobleampucourses.com. You want to learn the astral science. There's 3 courses that's there. The super like $100 or something. We got on this bundle deal, lifetime access to a module. Now be warned though, the way I set my stuff up is you got to get 100% before you move on. So I do demand perfection because I believe when you get into this science, you don't want to misdiagnose something. You know what I mean? It's like being a medical doctor. You don't want to make a mistake. You know what I mean? Like you really got to know this. You know what I mean? So when it comes to the inner teaching, then I demand perfection. Like, hey, you can't get that wrong. You know what I mean? Aries is a fire sign. It's not water. You know what I mean? So, because that translates to something. Water is intuitive and fire is more energetic and whatnot. And this person may not be intuitive. They may have more physical energy, and that's where they need to exude their stuff. And this explains why they can't sit still. You know what I mean? Because they need tasks to do. You know what I mean? So the elements break down into a psychological thing. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want you to get that wrong. So in these modules, yeah, you do have to get 100% before you can move on to the next module. It's a great fun challenge to get. And the stuff is easy though. That stuff is baby science for real, for real. Because all it is 1 + 1. Fire plus this equal this. You know what I mean? Saturn plus this equal this. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on, man. All right. So I don't know what Chief at. Chief, you back here? I can't, because I'm not the presenter. I can't get this off. I can remove this from the stage right here. But I don't know, man. If you got something, I can see the chat. If you got a question in the chat, you can drop it in the chat. And Inshallah, I can answer your question if you got it in the chat. Yeah, if you got a question, drop it in the chat. Do 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 do. I'm keeping my eye on this Iran stuff, man. I don't believe in doomsday stuff, but self-sufficiency has always been, and I think that's been a thing with Islam in America, to get up and go for self. You know what I mean? And don't be reliant upon economic change that can be disrupted, that in return has a major impact on your life where it can become stressful. That's dangerous. You know what I mean? And part of me with this space, that's this space is like, hey, how do we build something, have something that is sustainable, self-sustaining? And that's the key. I was just having a conversation where I'm really thinking about selling my real estate and going for something that is paid for. I don't want to finance nothing. There's something that's paid for. Or if it is financed, there's really no problem in covering it, because the what we call debt ratio is just way supersedes what we supposed to have. You know what I mean? You can get a loan on something if you make 25% after you pay them. It's called DSCR, debt service coverage ratio. And so hypothetically, if you owe, let's just say if you make a payment of 100, they want you to make 125. So after you pay them their 100, you got 25 left over. That's 25%. So a bank could give you a loan as long as you make 20 to 25% after you service the debt, pay them and whatnot. So if I jump into something, I want to be 4 or 5 times up, not just 25%. I want to be 4 to 5 times up before I jump into that again. Um, and that let me know that it's not a problem if something do get interrupted. You know what I mean? It's just not a problem to be able to maintain and whatnot. Because potentially, um, man, I just didn't think I'd ever be here, but it's the truth of facing reality with AI, and just the great reset that needs to happen. Usually, when a reset has to occur, there's depressions and recessions and collapses that triggers that, right? Pandemics that trigger that. And if you know what it was like in the COVID, where they was going for the toilet paper and all the toilet paper was gone, and they had to make sure everybody get food because it was a panic. Panics destroy stuff. You know what I'm saying? So how do we put ourselves, how do we use what we know? How do we use Islam in a sense to be able to have something that is really self-sustaining? You know what I'm saying? And understanding housing and understanding, because that's a basic need. Everybody should have a house, that's for sure, shelter, and understanding food is a key too. You know what I'm saying? You got those under wrap where it's no problem. Everything else becomes fairly easy. I mean, fairly easy. You can get those two under control. You know what I mean? And alhamdulillah, it's able. That's why I tell people, man, you should get into real estate so you can learn how to work this stuff. And it's a good thing. It can be a headache though, but it can be really comes with the turf for anything. But it can be a great thing because it can start to help you build wealth. And wealth is just not money. You can just have it in property. You know what I mean? Like, this is a property that I'm in. Like, okay, I got the property. I can rent the property. Technically, I'm supposed to be making about $1,000 a month off this property. You know what I mean? Um, but that it's nice to have that option. You know what I mean? Or I can Airbnb it. and make the money in between. So I got some money coming in when it is rented and whatnot. Nobody lives here. Then when nobody's here, I'm doing my thing, right? So I can get cash flow that way from it, and then you use that cash flow to do other things. There's a concept called wholesale real estate that is a beautiful thing. That's how I was able to grab properties for cash. And the concept of wholesale real estate is where you take a contract. My very first deal, I just wanted to make $5,000 because I understood the concept. The concept was the lady, Miss Teresa, agreed to sell me a house for 50,000. We made the agreement in March, and March the 3rd, and we're going to close it in 30 days on April the 3rd. And on April the 3rd, I'm going to get somebody to buy this house at 50,000, but they're going to pay me a fee. So I called my realtor friend up, and she was like, "Oh yeah, I got somebody who will buy it from you for 65." So what happened is I got this contract for 50, and I make an assignment, and this person said they willing to pay me 65. So they saying, "Yeah, I'll pay 50 plus a $15,000 equitable interest. That's my equitable interest that I have in this contract." So he'd pay a total of 65,000. You understand what I'm saying? And so then when the title company does, because I'm in the title state, the title company does the work, say, "Hey, this house is free and clear. Buyer, send over your 65,000." Hey, wire the 65,000 in. The lady only wanted 50, and he gives him my 15. So did I have to buy a house? No, I didn't have to buy no house. I simply sold the contract. That's wholesale real estate. So you're selling the contract. Obviously, it works when you get the house under the value, you know what I mean? And somebody's willing to pay, better, a higher price. And so that was super dope because I made 15,000 on my first deal. Wallahi, I just wanted to make 5,000. It was on my vision board. I made 15,000 on my first deal. April 3rd, 2019 was my first wholesale deal. And then I was like, "Oh, snap. This worked." So I was like, "Oh, snap, let's amp it up." And I was doing six figures in this joint. And I was take that cash, and then I would go buy these houses with cash. And I would go to a D market. D market is the hood, right? But your returns, you can get 30% return on investments. Your average return on investment could be 8%, 10%. I'm doing 30%. But what comes with that 30%? You know what I'm saying? This person late on the rent, and man, once you fix those blinds. Those blinds look all tacky, you know what I mean? Your son throwing trash outside in front of the house, you know what I mean? So it comes with D class comes with poor stuff, you know what I mean? But the cash on cash return is astronomical. Somebody's making some great money in that stuff, right? So I'm like, I might as well be me, right? So bought that stuff. And it's free and clear cash flow. And then when it's free and clear, guess what? You don't have to do this. You can. If you need the equity, a lump sum of money, I went to Lima One, which is one of my finance people. And I was like, "Hey, I want to refinance this house. I own it. This is how much rent that this person pays. They pay like $900 a month on this particular house." And they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll give you 50,000, and but you're gonna pay us $600 a month." You know what I'm saying? That's cool. I'll take this 50,000. I'll go buy me something else. You see what I'm saying? So I'm able to take something that I own and put a note against it and grab that lump sum of money and go buy something and make another play in life, right? And so they call this the Burr method in real estate. When you buy something, then you rehab it, and then you rent it, 'cause now it's cash flowing, and then you refinance because the bank is only going to give you some money if they see that it's already making some money, and they give you 70 to 80% of the appraised value for it. And then you play the game. This house right here, wallahi, I got this house almost for free, right? And you the house, so the lady wanted to sell it to me for, I got her at 140 in the contract. I thought the house was going to appraise for 200. So when I paid for the appraisal, it appraised at 168. But I got it in contract at 140, and I made an assignment to my rental company. So I got two real estate companies that I'm rocking here. Okay. And so my wholesale company got it in contract for 140, make an assignment to me for 200. I go to my lender and I say, listen, I'm going to buy this house for 200. I already got somebody in there. And they say, all right, pay for the appraisal. So they come back short at 168. So now I need the contract to reflect 168. So now, since I own the company who got it in contract with the lady, I redo the contract for 168. So the lender is like, okay, cool. Out of this 168, we only gonna give you 80%. So say they give me 140. So I got to come up with 28,000 at the closing table. Okay. So I said, okay, cool, no problem. So I called my partner up, and my office is my office landlord at the time, and I say, do me a favor, wire me 28,000, because mind you, my wholesale company got it in contract for what? 140. But you're gonna sell it to my rental company for 168, which is the appraised value. So my wholesale company looks like it's gonna make 28,000. So I'm gonna have my guy wire in the 28,000, because me as the buyer, the end buyer, my rental company, the title company has to have 168. The lender's gonna put up 140. I gotta bring the 28. Have my guy wire in the 28. So now when a title company gets this 168, what do they say? They say, oh, lady, here's your 140. Then they say, Noble, your wholesale company, here's your $28,000 fee. And then since I own that company, what do? I get that $28,000 to my guy who sent me the 28,000. Now he may say, give me 29 back. So then I have to go in my pocket $1,000. So then how much did I pay for the house? $1,000 out of my pocket, right? So it only works when you get the house under the equity value. And if you can get the house to appraise above what you got it in contract for, yes, then you can go ahead and say, hey, I want to buy this. But then you may need what's called a transactional lender, somebody that's going to wire in that gap, that money that you need, that down payment, but you're going to send that right back to them. And so now you just did a wholesale deal to your own self, and that's how I basically got this house for free, far as the purchase goes. But there's a mortgage on it every single month, right? But the tenant was paying that. You see what I'm saying? And I'll keep the difference. You see? So there's creative ways, and old heads. I'm about to show you how old I am, right? I'm 49, and remember back in the day, in the 90s and early 2000s, there used to be this old dude that come on called Carlton Sheets Real Estate. No money down real estate. He used to come on late at night, especially like on a Saturday or Sunday. I had bought that course back in like 1999. I had bought that course, and I was a little scared, and I didn't make a move because I didn't understand it and whatnot. I wish I would have stayed in the game back then. I would have owned a lot of properties and whatnot, but no money down real estate. And these are creative strategies that you can do to really get some real estate. Another thing is taking over people mortgages with sub twos, which is a person, the mortgage, like this one lady, same lady who sold me this was her brother house. She actually came to stay here when she sold me her house. Her husband was falling down the stairs, had dementia. The house at the time was only worth 65,000. She owed like 100,000. She can't sell that house because she will owe the bank $35,000. So she ain't got no money. So she's stuck. But it makes sense if I can take over your mortgage, right? The mortgage at the time was 692, and I got somebody in there day one paying 13. So 1,300 minus 700, that's what, $600 and some change. So I make 600 a month by taking over her mortgage, instead of her having to come up with some money that she don't have to move or to, sell the house to pay the bank off. I'll give you $2,000 in your pocket. So she went from potentially having to owe the bank thousands of dollars and couldn't get no money, to a creative way where I gave her a couple thousand in her pocket, and I'll just take over your mortgage. But it only makes sense for me if the rent supersedes the mortgage. You understand what I'm saying? So now you can use a technology called prop string. I didn't turn this to a whole real estate thing, but this, okay, that's what we got to do. Now, what you can do is go to prop stream. It's like $99 a month. Probably got a 7-day free trial, but you can set up a filter to look for these type of properties anywhere in the country. That's what we call undervalue. You know what I mean? Learn how to set the filter up the right way. You can do it for the city, a zip code, desired area, and whatnot. And then it'll show you all the properties that's upside down. And then you can mail postcards to them. You know what I'm saying? And say, hey, I'd love to, take over your mortgage. You know what I mean? If possible. You don't say it that direct, but you gotta have a nice little pitch with it in a sense. Hey, yeah, I do real estate, currently do rental properties, and I'm into new construction, but I'm looking for something that's a little bit more creative where my company can assume and take over the mortgage and whatnot. And I don't mean to offend you, but as of right now, my software say that your property is a little bit upside down, just simply meaning you may owe more than what the house is valued at. And if that be the case and you want to sell, I would love to just simply take over your mortgage and whatnot. And people would do it because, again, people, man, this woman got bad knees. She can't cut the grass, and her husband falling down the stairs because he got dementia. Right? No, the problem is now a nuisance. It's a problem. And she was stuck until you know these different strategies. You know what I'm saying? All right. I think I don't know about USDA loans, but I think we need to get into them. Absolutely. I was having that conversation with a friend earlier, especially with women as minorities, black women, minorities in this sense. It's a real sweet spot for that. You know what I mean? Like going after some land, farmland particularly, or even if you just got land, but you're allowed to have, once you put livestock on it, it changes your tax situation totally and whatnot because you got livestock and whatnot. So I need to look into that for sure. You know what I mean? But people know, you know what I mean? The homestead thing, whether you do it as a collective, I see collective people doing it, or whether you do it as an individual or a family, it needs to be done quickly. As quickly as you possibly can. You know what I mean? Just so you can and then build from there. That's why I was having this conversation today with families. Like, let's really reposition. You know what I'm saying? And then if we want to go out and build your own house from the ground up and having that's fine. But you got to have a base that's really like a fortress. That's just like that won't be shaken by outside politics. You know what I'm saying? And that means pay for all cash, all ones, right? Or you can easily afford it as long as nobody's income is getting disrupted, right? Right. All right. All right. So I don't know what, man. I know Chief said he was having some problems, man. He ain't hit back. I don't know where he at and what happened. I'm gonna call him real quick. I just don't want to get off and this thing be going. Let me see if I can catch him. Let me see. All right, y'all. I got him on. All right, I'll go back to the internet side and wait for you. All right, y'all. So, yeah, he said he was having some tech issues over there. I see you, but I don't hear you. Boom, 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 boom.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, it turned into a real estate quick little master class on real fast. It's all good.
Ain't nothing wrong with it, man. Ain't nothing wrong with it, man. Yes, sir. Damn, what? Everything, everything in my demo is off. What the heck is going on here? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, yes. Again, as always, your presentations are always informative and very powerful. We appreciate you.
Oh man, I thank you for having me, man. Definitely.
Always, always, always. Created a boundless universe. Honest and gratitude for the $2 super chat. He says, your thoughts on USDA loans.
Yeah, I had answered them. But yeah. I'm not familiar with them, but I highly suggest looking into them, especially if they got minority programs of any sort, women, men, whatever. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Yeah, we need to be on that farm stuff, man. We need to be on that land agriculture stuff ASAP.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I agree. I agree, most definitely. I
Yeah.
do agree. Well, I see the listening audience was very much enjoyed the presentation. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, brother, when next time we gonna have you back? When we gonna have you back?
Hey man, I'm with it. You know what I mean? I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm with it. Islam, Ishmaelite. What up? What's good? I'm with it, man. I know you was talking about the Katab. You know what I mean?
Yes,
But
sir.
yeah, whenever you ready, it's all good. Just let me know. You know what I mean?
All right.
Yeah, we can.
We can definitely get you back in there ASAP, brother. Let's see. Today is Saturday. What day you good next week?
Man, we good on we can do you know what? Wednesday is cool.
Okay. Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday we'll be back Wednesday with our brother
Yeah.
Noble.
Yeah, Wednesday's cool.
Okay. We'll most
Yeah.
definitely be back Wednesday. So we'll come back and deal with the topic of the Kitab, the mother of the books.
The mother
Mother
of the
of the
book.
book. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
The mother of the book.
Yeah.
So, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, brother, again, honors and gratitude. And brother, I always wish you well. May Allah always be with you and your family. And yeah, alhamdulillah.
Man,
Appreciate it, brother.
alhamdulillah, brother. You as well, beloved. And may you continue to be blessed and keep on shining that light, man. And yeah, bro, we be in touch. We
Yes,
make it happen.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Everybody in the chat, we appreciate you being in the
Yes.
chat.
Thank you.
Appreciate your participation, your support. For everybody, please share. Please hit the like button. If you haven't hit the like button, please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Yes, please share to your social media. Share with your people. Share to make your people aware. And we're gonna keep bringing you this, and we'll see you back. See you all back here Wednesday evening around the same time. Islam.
Cool. Islam.
Islam. All right, brother, man.
You got it,
Well,
beloved. Peace, bro.
all right, peace. Peace.